Our Gulf Coast MakerCon 2015 coverage is proudly powered by the Microsoft Store. Go ahead and imagine presenting the thinnest and lightest Surface ever, the Surface 3. The perfect balance of performance and value for students, families, and more. Pre-order yours today or check out all the other latest gadgets at f5live.tv/Microsoft.
Actually, I believe our only repeat interview from last year, which is okay because Jason was one of my absolute favorites last year because his stuff is so interesting. And he's so good at what he does. I cannot wait for him to show.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
What he's got. He's just barely off camera right now. But anyway, yeah. So we're ready for you when you're ready.
All right, I guess I'm ready.
All right. We have got Jason here from Fireblade Comics. You were our only repeat. From
really?
Last year, yes. I believe. I was looking at my list and I did not recognize. Nope, I'm a liar. John Adair from Tampa Hackerspace will be back as well. So
okay,
one
good.
of only 2 repeats.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Good. Yeah, you're.
You need me to deal.
In the production shot, he's good. Okay, so tell us about you, for those who don't already know.
My name's Jason Rawley. I run Fireblade Comics. I make custom props, custom action figure display bases, scale models, that kind of stuff. Mostly Ghostbusters stuff, but I do all different genres, steampunk, science fiction, Star Wars stuff, you name it.
And it's made like with quality.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yes,
this
he's
one
incredibly talented at what he does.
Thanks. This is one of my more original pieces. It was made from a cap gun, which I kept the body of, but most of the cylinder and stuff was custom made. And I'm going to be casting it and turning it into a kit soon because the way I have it painted up now is supposed to fit kind of like Firefly, that universe. You know, it kind of looks like Mal's pistol maybe. But I have another picture of it where I repainted it black and silver, and then it's supposed to kind of look like it might fit Star Wars or something.
Okay.
So it's one of those pieces. It's not a replica of anything from a movie or anything like that, but it's just supposed to look like it belongs.
Gotcha. But under the right circumstances, it could fit in several different
I'm
genres.
planning to turn it into a kit and inspire people to paint it, to give them some ideas and make them go, oh, hey, that would, if I paint it this way, I could make it look like something else. So.
Yeah,
Very
and
cool.
what's your basis for this? Like, how do you, what do you start off with to create your...
I do what I call improv building.
Okay.
I don't design anything on paper or anything like that. I do it all in my head. What I usually do is I start out with a general idea, like I know I'm going to make a pistol. I started with the cap gun, so I just took it apart.
Okay.
As a kid, that's kind of where prop building started. I just took everything apart. And I go through all the pieces and try to put it back together and, make it work. But taking things apart, you see all the basic shapes that they break down into. So your mind gets really used to looking at things and breaking it down into basic shapes. So when I removed a lot of the guts of the gun, I decided what parts I wanted to keep and then what parts needed to be changed in order to make it from a revolver into something that would look like it'd be built in another universe by, aliens or something. The other gun that I brought's my proton pistol, which lights up here.
Wow.
This one's a little bit more specific because unlike this one where I'm just building as I find parts and putting it together and, I take shapes and go, oh, well, that looks like, it fit here. The Ghostbuster gun I have a little bit more purpose with because I started with the Nerf Recon and I took all the parts off of that one and break it down to just its basic shell. And then I look at where I need to build it up to fit like the proton pack. So I have, like the cyclotron here. Is like a miniature version of the Ghostbusters cyclotron. And then I have the ion arm.
Sure.
I've got the booster tube and booster ladder. HGA, which you can't really see, is on the side there. Then I put a few custom pieces on there, like, the slime tube. Looks like it would be something the Ghostbusters would put on there.
Absolutely.
I call it slime injection. Makes the gun a little moody. But yeah, that one. Now, obviously, it's not anything from the movie.
Right. It's not. It's not anything direct. It's inspired.
Exactly, inspired. Yeah. It's supposed to look like it just belongs in the same universe.
Yeah.
So, and it gives people that do like what we do. We have a group that we do Ghostbusters just for charity events.
Right.
And we have a lot of members that have their own packs, but there's some people that can't afford the pack, or they have back problems and they can't carry it or whatever. So it's nice to have like alternative pieces of equipment that they can carry and fit in, and yet also at the same time stand out.
Now last year we talked about the fact that starting from Nerf weapons is not uncommon. Mm-hmm. Is that still the case?
Well, I still like the Nerf because Nerf is so cool with the designs. They're constantly coming out with new designs, and they're all pretty much all sci-fi themed, but you can kind of scale them and mold them and turn them into something else like steampunk or something. So Nerf is a great basis, but also Nerf is also kind of limiting in a way because say you wanted to make something organic and you're building up from Nerf, you got a lot of work to do. And also people recognize them. I mean, I have people that look down on this because when they see it, they go, that's just a Nerf gun. But I'm like, yeah, but the props in the movie were just shoe polishers and floor buffers, and, and they repurposed them. In fact, the PKE meter was a shoe polisher.
Because a lot of times that's where props come from. It's just repurposed.
Exactly.
Because why start from zero?
Yeah, well, sometimes starting from zero is good. Like, even this one's not completely scratch built. I did keep a little bit of the frame of a cap gun. But the point of starting from zero is you can make something completely new.
Right.
Like if you were going to make something for, TV or independent filmmakers making a sci-fi movie or something, and he comes to me and says, I need a pistol, then obviously I would want to make it as original as possible, starting from the Nerf,
Right.
That, not to say that that's bad, because there's even some popular sci-fi shows that have used Nerf guns. And I don't know how much I'm supposed to say, but I actually work with Brian Johnson of Johnson Arms, and we took a Nerf gun, and I won't say what TV show, but they contacted him, and they saw one that he did, and they wanted one just like it. But what they wanted is they wanted the gun to break apart into two pieces, so they could have a character acting like in the background like he's assembling it. And the problem is when you cut apart the Nerf gun, there's nothing in there to like slide it back together. So Brian basically cut it where he wanted to, and he gave it to me, and I had to fabricate the entire inside of this gun. And I based it around PVC with sleeves, couplings of sleeves, so that the character could slide it in and snap into place. But there's so much just detail that I had to come up with, like, what would this gun look like if you cut it in half? So that part's really cool. You can, you're fabricating something that doesn't exist now. I mean, we're using a Nerf gun as a base. And there's nothing wrong with that.
But you created a whole weird new thing out of it.
You'll look inside that and be like, what is all that stuff? And I'll be like, that's just junk from my workshop, old pieces of vacuum cleaners and printers. Actually, one of the cool things I wanted to point out, I don't have an example in front of me, but last year at the MakerCon, they had the BattleBot thing, right? And I think at the end what they did was they tore up some printers. Okay. I know they're printers. I didn't know if they had the robots attack them or whatever, but they trashed them. Okay. And they had thrown them away at the end of the MakerCon. I had wrapped up my table, and I'm watching them throw out all these printers, and I was like, guys, that's like a wealth of parts for me. So they were, take them. I took home probably 3 or 4 full printers plus parts from others. And I have some things at my table that are made from those parts. And awesome. I would love to take them over there and show them to them, but that's where a lot of this stuff comes from. And I used to feel bad about it, like, gosh, I wish I could reach that point of Hollywood one of these days. You see the things they make, like the Iron Man armor.
Oh,
like that stuff's 100%, made from scratch, right? Those guys are just brilliant geniuses. I actually know a guy who lives in Pinellas Park, and he's awesome. He does a lot of what I do. He's worked on movie productions, mostly scale models. He makes his own garage kits and stuff. But he has worked fabricating some of these things. He actually worked on the Iron Man armor. And he worked on the inside for some of the shots where, like, Tony has a suit in the background or something, and he's got, like, the leg panel exposed. And what you would see is, like, those internals, what's on the other side of the armor. and also what's Tony's wearing, because Tony's wearing kind of like a suit under there.
Right.
And so he had to come up with what are the parts on the inside. And so we were talking about it, and I said, what do you use? He said, we go to, there's this military surplus or junkyard. Actually, I think it's a junkyard that the military uses that's based real close to like Beverly Hills, Hollywood, or whatever.
Okay.
So, because a lot of the film production guys know this place and they go there. So he's like, the inside of the Iron Man armor. We went to thrift stores, junkyards, that kind of stuff. He goes, it's parts from a missile, it's parts from vacuum cleaners, and I was sitting here thinking,
Parts from a missile.
That's what's on the inside of the Iron Man armor is vacuum cleaners and parts from missiles and stuff, and you're like, okay, so what I'm doing is really not that far away from what they do. I don't feel as bad anymore.
And that's what I love about like props, like especially like with the 3000 Brigade,
Right.
And like their like steampunk outfits and stuff. Like they'll take apart like old clocks and like old stuff to get like the gears and get like the actual. That's what I love about props. Like you can just take things apart and take inspiration from other things and just create your own.
This community in general is so good at repurposing things. We have a Bane suit that if they were to have used like prop foam, it would have been several $100s worth of foam. They found a beat up couch, took the foam out of the couch, no problem, off and running. Cost them $0 to fill the suit.
That's one of the things I liked about steampunk too, is those real enthusiasts that don't just take plastic pieces and paint them to look like metal, but the people that actually take apart the machines and actually go for the copper and the iron and actually they make it, and it's almost as real as it could possibly be. I mean, if there were such a thing as a steam-powered sniper rifle, this would be
as close as it could be.
That kind of stuff's really cool.
Well, as always, we appreciate you coming and showing off all the cool stuff you've got. We're going to come visit you over at your booth and see the stuff.
Great. Now I got to do my hair and everything.
With parts and pieces from last year. I love that idea. I want to see some of the stuff you've done
awesome.
with it.
Now I'm going to have to find an example. Thank you very much.
Have a good rest of the show.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I love that type of stuff because it reminds me of the 3000 Brigade and groups like that who repurpose odd pieces to make.
Oh yeah, they see inspiration in like the littlest things. Like before I met them, I probably would never have seen anything from like an old vacuum but they repurpose it.
You can see, like he said, you see the shapes in the pieces,
it's
and
very
then you go
creative.
looking for other things that are in that shape to find matching bits, which is really a cool concept. I like that, and. Jason, like I said, Jason is really talented at what he does. He was on last year, and his stuff is really cool, and obviously it has stayed that way because the little copper gun that he had is new from last year. I did not see that, and it's a really cool addition. He did a good
I know,
job
like
on that.
walking by his booth, like you see all the things that like light up and like all the like props from like the movies, and you just walk by and everyone stops and like stares as they're like.
And he mentioned Johnson Arms, who was on the show with us last year, and they do a lot of work back and forth because Johnson Arms does a lot of like the detail painting stuff, and Jason does a lot of the detail build stuff. So they work really well together, and the stuff that comes out of their collaborations is unbelievable.